FileMaker has four modes that allow you to manipulate it in different ways. We've already covered Browse mode, which is for data entry, but there are three other modes. You can see about under the View menu, you can notice that Browse mode has a check mark next to it because we are in Browse mode. But you also have Find mode, which allows you to make found sets, find records in other words. It's what controls what you see over here essentially. You have Layout mode, which allows you to control the user interface, what fields go in the layout, what colors, all that kind of good stuff. And Preview mode, which allows you to see records as pages. So you're going to be going in and out of these modes a lot. You could go in and out of them 100 times during a day if you're working on a project. So it's a good idea that you memorize these keyboard commands so you can do this efficiently. I don't recommend you memorize every keyboard command for every menu item, but for these, this would be great. And they're pretty easy. You have Command B or Apple B on the Macintosh, or in Windows it's Control B, so it's very easy. For Find mode, you have Command F or Control F. You have Command L or Control L for Layout mode. And then finally for Preview mode, they can't use the P because that's for print, so they have Command or Control U. So let's try going into Find mode. And the first thing you're going to notice is it looks a lot like Browse mode. In fact, this is a common mistake that new users make, is they accidentally enter their data into Find mode rather than Browse mode, and they really lose their data at that point. Because once you go into Browse mode and close the file, it doesn't keep it. Find mode doesn't permanently keep all your data in here. So in FileMaker Pro 10 and FileMaker Pro 10 Advanced, they've done something to help with that. You can see these little magnifying glasses here. These will help to realize for new users that they're in Find mode. But if you design a solution and you do it properly, people won't have this problem. I don't have a problem with my solutions because I lock down where they can go. And if you go through this 3-series tutorial and learn this, learn my methods, you will be able to design a solution that you won't even have to worry about that. In fact, I don't even turn on these little, you can turn these off, these little magnifying glasses. I actually turn them off so you don't see them, because in my situation, when I design a solution correctly, they won't have any mistaking Find mode from Browse mode. But on a basic level, yes, they are confusing, so watch out for that. So you'll also notice that you have a different status toolbar. You have a Rolodex here, but you don't see your 41 records. That's because we're working with requests. So the Rolodex works depending on the mode. So in Browse mode you go through records, in Find mode you go through requests, and we'll find out more about requests later. In Preview mode you go through pages. In Layout mode the Rolodex goes through different layouts. So that Rolodex changes depending on the mode. And so is this information over here. In addition, you'll have likely different options here as far as buttons in your toolbar. And again, each one of the modes have a different status toolbar, so that means you can customize them separately. So when you go in there in Find mode, you can see there are different choices here. So what you would do in Find mode is something like find all the records that have John in it. Or maybe all the records that have John and Osborne, which will probably be one in this case. You could take this out, and you could go into the city field and type in Chino Hills. Find all the people who live in Chino Hills. Find all the people who live in the state of California. You'll have lots of operators and all kinds of options to work with this, but again, we'll get more into this later. Let's try and go into Layout mode here. There's Layout mode this way. And this is probably the most sophisticated or complicated area. You can do so much in here. This is where you design your interface, where you put fields on the layout, where you remove fields from the layout. And remember, when you remove stuff from here, it doesn't remove it from the structure from Managed Database, just from this view. Layout's kind of like a view of your database. So you've got tons of stuff. You can put text on here. You can draw a rectangle. You can choose colors. You can go ahead and put buttons on here, tab controls, web viewers, all kinds of great stuff. You can change fonts, and there's just so much you can do here. It's going to require a lot of time that we're not going to cover right now. So Layout mode is really for your user interface. It translates into Browse mode, so you can see whatever you do in Layout mode will come into Browse mode. And then of course we have Preview mode. Now again, we're looking at records as pages. So you can see that there are multiple records per page. It's kind of difficult to read, but you can see there's another person right there. And we're getting, looks like 2 people per page. What FileMaker tries to do is fit as many records per page as possible. So we can walk through the pages by using the Rolodex. Here are the additional records. You can see them here, they've changed. And you of course can use this slider toolbar. You can go ahead and type in your pages here. And you'll notice that it has a question mark here. That's because for performance reasons, FileMaker doesn't try to figure out how many pages there are until you actually get there. So you'd actually have to go all the way to the end. It'll tell you, I have 20 pages. And now as you walk through them, you'll see that you always have that total there. So again, you have different options here. Don't forget about those. And also, something that may not be as obvious is the menus change as you're going from mode to mode, especially the menu up here. Now, preview mode and browse mode have the same records menu, although you can't really create new records in preview mode. Can do it through other ways, but not this way. And a lot of these items are dim because they don't work in preview mode. But if you go to the different modes, such as we go into find mode, you notice we have requests. It's changed from records to requests, and these are specific to this mode. But there's also all the menus change. Every little thing, I mean, not everything does, but a lot of things do change. If we go into layout mode, you'll see that you have a layouts menu. But there are different options under insert here. When you go to browse mode, there are much less options. So you got to realize that, and keep this in the back of your head as you're getting familiar and comfortable with FileMaker, that each mode is almost like a separate application, but they're all combined together. And so the menus, although sometimes look the same and do have some of the same features, a lot of times it can change drastically. But especially in terms of the records and requests and layouts menus that change based on the modes.